If you're looking for a commuter vehicle, trying to watch your fuel economy, or heck, just want a cool ride, this is probably on your list. Hey, welcome to this edition of Road Warrior. I'm your host, Grant Roberson. Now, even these rainy conditions can't keep me away from talking about this vehicle, the 2017 Volkswagen Passat. When it comes to choices, you can look at the four corners because there's a few there. Now, what you're going to see is standard 16, 17, or even 18-inch wheel options. But here for the R line, it's going to be standard 19-inch wheels. Now, one other thing is ground clearance, pretty snug, around about 5.4 inches. Now, what I like with the Passat is it's pretty much plain Jane from the profile, but they do dress it up here with the grille warfare, specifically again on this R line. Now, you're seeing a lot of monochromatic blending here, the dark body color, dark grille, and a hint of chrome. Of course, the VW emblem, really nice and big. Now, the vehicle pretty much is straight lines, but you do have a lot of chiseling effect up here, really with all this fascia and angling. Not to mention these headlights, really menacing. On a day like this, there's one area you want convenience, and it starts right here at the door handle, referring to the good old smart key systems. Well, in this vehicle, forget about it. It's a little bit of old school, and that means the key for the ignition and pretty much pressing buttons to get inside. Now, that does become a little bit cumbersome because I've gotten used to all the other processes, so pretty much think old school. Now, going to the mechanism of it, basically unlock's going to be the traditional way. It's going to allow you to get in. One thing I do like they do well in this vehicle is security at the fill up. Now, what does that mean? When the vehicle's locked, this area is locked. When it's unlocked, get in real easy. Now, one thing that's also old school is the good old cap. One thing that's great about the Passat is really that interior volume, which I get into a second, but also what it delivers back here, specifically that cargo volume. Now, one thing to talk about is backup safety. Now, one thing I didn't notice was any backup sensors, but it did have a backup camera. Now, that does become a problem like on a day like this because raindrops truly block your view. Now, diving into the cargo area, one thing you do is on the key fob, of course, but there is a nice electronic release right here. Once you pop it open, what you're going to see is a vast area, specifically just under 16 cubic feet. Now, that's a massive area, and what I like is that this pretty much is going to hold golf clubs with ease, specifically with these outer niches. Also, you can tell, very cavernous. Where the commuter part of this vehicle comes in is right here under the hood, specifically with the 1.8 liter turbocharged inline four-cylinder engine. Now, it's going to deliver around about 170 horses and 184 foot-pounds of torque. Now, it's definitely going to give you that fuel economy, not necessarily that boot, scoot, and boogie. Now, if you want a little bit more of that, of course, they deliver that V6 as an option. One thing you'll notice with the R line is the kind of step up in luxury, specifically the standard leatherette seats, the leather wrapped steering wheel, and pretty much the nice regal looking dash. The one thing you're not going to like is the old school key. Pretty much mean you have to dig in your pocket every time, well, and crank it up. One thing you'll need to do when you climb inside is get rid of the gloves because this basically touchscreen system's not going to respond to it. Now, one thing it does respond to is motion. As you can tell, when I move up, the bottom menus will come up as well. Now, the motion activated, pretty much that's all it does. Now, what I do like is you can drag and move the presets. Now, there's about 15 presets you can load in here, allow you to really set all your favorites. Now, all your shortcuts for activating and moving around this screen is over here on the left side. There is no true home screen button, which I find navigating this a little bit easier. The R line again has tons of options that come standard, and one of them being dual zones up front. Really starting with these knobs on the left and right, that's going to dial in your temperature with the fan speed in the middle. I like the fact that it's all nice and symmetric right across the middle. Now, the different functions are right across the top here. Nice heated seats for both front occupants as well. And you do have the different modes. Having places to connect your devices is always crucial, and this is going to house about anything you want to put in it. And it does have connectivity with the USB, nice auxiliary jack, and that power supply. The engine's coupled with an automatic transmission. It does have a manual-like mode. Of course, tap it over, either use the gear shifter or even the paddle shifters on the steering wheel. Now, looking between the front occupants, what you're going to notice is dual cup holders. Now, there's no real hidden area here, pretty much always open, but they're nice and cavernous, really holding any drinks with ease. Nice little coin area and a decent storage for any type of extra stuff. For the gauge, you're going to find standard analog tach and speedometer, but a nice digital readout in between, specifically for that digital speed. On the steering wheel, it's not going to be too cumbersome. On the right side, your entertainment and the selection for that screen between the gauges, and on the left side, for cruise control. Now, these operations always vary between vehicles, so it's going to take a little bit of understanding how to use this, even more specifically, that this is for volume, not for increasing your speed. One thing about rainy days is sometimes it gets hard to see out your window. Even worse is on the driver's door or passenger door. What I found is with the rain collecting on the window and the mirror, well, it makes them basically unusable. Climbing into the back seat, one thing you'll notice again with the abundant amount of space in this vehicle is it really starts here at the second row when it comes to legroom numbers. Now back here you have a whopping 39 inches, up front around about 42. I found this to be one of the biggest luxuries on this vehicle, really making everyone feel very comfortable. Now back here it's pretty much standard bench styling, a little bit of sculpting on the outers, standard operating procedure. Now there is a small modest hump in between the two occupants here, but nothing really too bad. Now what I also like is the armrest, nice and elevated, really giving you nice support, and dual cup holders to boot. That does for this rainy edition of Road Warrior on a test drive behind the wheel of the 2017 Volkswagen Passat, specifically the R-Line edition. Now what this does is really make for a great commute, dresses it up real nice and pretty, and what it truly delivers is all that interior volume, making your friends feel so much more comfortable. Even better, if you hit the golf course, it's going to be plenty of room for 4 sets of clubs, and that engine, not too shabby either. Now as always, thanks for watching this edition of Road Warrior. Keep both hands on the wheel and eyes straight ahead.